Hola, otra vez en nuestro programa, nuestro podcast Alcaldes del Mundo. El día de hoy con la alcaldesa Castor de Tampa Bay, Florida, Estados Unidos. We are very happy to have the opportunity to talk with Castor, and it is important for me to explain very briefly why this space of conversation is so important. It is for me crucial that we, San Petrinos from San Pedro, see our city as a city that is continuously learning from other places, learning from mayors that tend to be very practical people, always trying to find ways of making easier our life as citizens and improving our quality of life. So I would like to start the conversation asking Mayor Castor something about her personal trajectory as a public servant. She was, before becoming mayor, she was chief of police, of Tampa Bay Police. And I would like to ask you if this is common, I mean, if it has happened before in Tampa, or is it common in the United States? Because in Mexico, it is not common at all that that someone that comes from the security field as a director or secretary of security becomes mayor. And tell us a little bit about this part of your personal story.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very, very unusual. It's not unprecedented, but it is unusual to have someone that comes from law enforcement and transitions into the political world of becoming the mayor. And so I really didn't ever have aspirations of running for political office. And the way that it came about, I was born and raised in Tampa. And the two previous mayors that I had been police chief under really were good friends of mine. And just the trajectory that our city was on, having been born and raised here, I knew that this city was going to change more in the next decade than it had in my entire life. And I really wanted to be a part of that change and a part of being able to positively grow our city and lead it into the future. And so that's what led me into this position. And it's been quite an honor so far, about 2.5 years into my first term.
Yeah, and something that is crucial for having a strong community and you have a privileged perspective, having been in the Secretary of Security and now as a mayor, is what are the most important factors to build confidence in police, to have a good relationship between citizens and police persons. What can you tell us? What can we learn from Tampa?
Well, first and foremost, I truly believe that having a safe city is really the foundation on which any success will be built. You know, no one is going to bring their company or their family or their organization to a location where they don't feel like they are safe and secure. And so back in 2003, law enforcement in America historically has been very reactive. You know, law enforcement sits back and waits until citizens call in and ask for their assistance. And so back in 2003, we actually had, unfortunately, a pretty high crime rate in our city. And so we went about changing that. And we did it through a partnership with our community, with all citizens. But we did it in a very proactive way. We prevented crime as opposed to reacting to it. And so since 2003, we have actually lowered crime in the city of Tampa by over 80%. And that is unprecedented, really across the nation. And so we are very safe now. We're looked upon as one of the safest cities our size in America. But that safety has to be built through trust, that the community trusts their police officers and their law enforcement, because law enforcement exists to serve the citizens. And if the citizens don't trust the police officers, then the police officers are powerless. And so you have to build those relationships, which sometimes is difficult to do because people don't call the police when everything's great.
Yeah.
They don't call to say, hey, everything's going wonderfully at my home, let me show you. They call when things have reached a point that they can't handle it or it's become a crisis. And so you have to work on those relationships every single day, and they have to be maintained in order to be successful and to reduce crime in your community.
Yeah, something that I try to explain citizens about the importance of this trust, and maybe you can give us an insight about this, is that when we talk about police intelligence, most commonly the first thing that comes to our mind is high tech and cameras and data, which is important. But for me, the most important part or the most important ingredient of intelligence is the closeness between police persons and community, because in those conversations is where the police officers are obtaining all the information that allow them to know very well their district and to have, as you just said, a proactive perspective on security. I don't know how what can you tell us about this, Jane?
Yes, that's you really said it right there. It comes down to that relationship. Law enforcement, I'm sure the same in your city as mine, that's the most visible form of government. And so the police officers take the blame for everything that occurs, whether the electricity goes out or something happens at a school, that's the most visible form of government for people to vent their anger and their frustration. And so you have to develop those relationships so that the community sees the police officers as an individual, as a human being, just like them, that, they have the same problems, same concerns in their life, and that they are there to help and to assist the citizens in making their neighborhoods safe. I had one of my favorite sayings when I would talk to the community groups. I would say that you, residents, are going to keep your neighborhood safe with the assistance of the police officer, not the other way around. We have 400,000 citizens in Tampa. We have just under 1,000 police officers. So the people who live in the neighborhoods know what's going on minute by minute. So they're going to keep their neighborhood safe with the assistance of the police officers. And I think that works out very, very well. But you have to have those relationships, and you have to have that level of trust.
Sure, thank you. And moving to another aspect of safety, safety while moving. In San Pedro, we are implementing programs towards sustainable mobility. We are putting emphasis on sidewalks. We are about to start with a bike lane, separated bike lane.
Yes.
And all of this is very important for the sustainability of the city, but it works as far as people feel safe when they are driving a bike or when they are walking. And you have implemented something that I think it's called Vision Zero Tampa, and has to do with this kind of safety. Can you tell us about this? Which are the key underpinnings of this program? What is that we can learn and implement here in San Pedro?
Well, what it envisions is zero deaths out on our roadways, whether it be the driving public, bicyclists, or pedestrians, that you get down to zero deaths or fatalities on your roadways. And that's going to be very, very difficult for us because we, unfortunately, in this particular region and in the state of Florida, we have some of the highest fatalities in the entire United States. And so it's a very, very lofty goal, but we are taking a lot of the same steps that you are. We call it complete streets. And that is taking the streets. You know, we went through that time where you widened all your roads and you put more lanes and everybody just drove faster and faster and faster. And so we have decreased the width of the lanes, which slows traffic down. And then we've taken lanes away from roadways to, again, slow down that flow of traffic, and then put the bike lanes that are separated and safe, and then larger sidewalks too, so that we can encourage other types of mobility, whether it's scooters, bicycles, pedestrian, trying to do a lot of that also with the development that's occurring in our community to connect these neighborhoods through greenways so that you can take bicyclists and pedestrians off of the roadways completely so they don't have those interactions with vehicles. And unfortunately, in the South, here in the United States, we view, as I like to joke, we view mass transportation as more than two people in an SUV or a large vehicle. So that's a goal as well, is to try to get more individuals onto our bus system and to look at mass transportation solutions so that we can take cars off of the street, make our streets safer, and then also improve our environment as well. But it's a very lofty goal. We have so many different elements to it as well. We do street murals, paint intersections that bring the attention of the drivers into the intersection. We have a program called Crosswalks to Classrooms, where we have the crosswalks where the students walk from the neighborhood to their schools, and we paint those with very bright colors. The kids get to pick out the books and the colors and those types of things. So again, that is an entertainment and encouragement to the kids for school and for reading, but also brings the driver's attention to that location so they're paying attention to the kids crossing the street. Having roundabouts where you can slow down or decrease the severity of accidents. If the drivers are going into the roundabout, you're not going to have those crashes that are what we call the T-bones, where they run into the side of a vehicle, where your fatalities occur most often. Red light cameras, we're doing so many things to try to reduce the number of accidents, but it's, as I said, it's a very, very lofty goal for us because we often lead the nation in these types of fatalities.
Well, I mean, we have to learn from you for the hard cases. I normally feel very proud of my fellow San Petrinos, but this is one aspect that, we drive like crazy here in San Pedro. I don't know how bad is people from Tampa for driving, but I can assure you that we are worse, and we really have to learn how to deal with those cases because speed limits, it's very hard. I had to start with one street, just one street in which we ensure that the speed limit is compliant, then move to other streets. But we really have to learn from you for the hard cases.
Yeah, another just a really quick program that our transportation group implemented, and that is four-way stop signs. Okay. And so that causes people to have to stop at the intersection. And it's a quick way, people want those, we call them speed bumps on their roadways to slow down the traffic. But that just pushes the problem to another street in that neighborhood. And so what we have done, our transportation group has put up over 100 four-way stop intersections in our neighborhoods throughout the community. And it really has slowed down a lot of the speeding, especially in the residential neighborhoods.
Thank you, Jane, for all these insights. I like to finish this conversation with my favorite question. That is, if I were to go to Tampa or any of my fellow Sanpetrinos, what is that place or activity that maybe I won't find in a tourist guide, but is the best way to enjoy something that is very unique and maybe not very known from Tampa, having a good time in Tampa?
Well, I think right now, the best thing that probably isn't in any of our tourist brochures yet are our signature boat parades. As you may or may not be aware, we have won the National Hockey League Stanley Cup, the ultimate championship, 2 years in a row, or as they like to say, back to back. And
congratulations.
So the first one, we're on the water here. We're on the bay, and then we have the Hillsborough River that runs through our city. And so the first championship, we really couldn't hold the historical type of a parade celebration because we couldn't bring all of those individuals together. And so what we did is we put all of the players on boats and we had a boat parade, and it was so exciting, and it really was all over nationally, all over. And then we won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we had another boat parade, and then we won the Stanley Cup again, and we had yet another boat parade. So we do love the water. That's another form of transportation for us, is the waterways. And we have water taxis. You can see dolphins and manatees, and you'll be able to see all that is wonderful about Tampa on the land from the water.
Thank you very much, Mayor Jane Castor. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I am sure that your insights, your practical actions as a mayor in San Pedro will be very helpful to improve our role as government here in San Pedro and in other places where we are all learning about different mayors of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's so good to see you again, Miguel. And for any of your citizens who want to visit, Tampa is predominantly Hispanic, Latino. So Tempanos are ready to welcome everybody to the city.
And welcome Mayor Jane Castor to come to San Pedro. You would really enjoy it also. Thank you very much.
Good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Muchas gracias por acompañarnos. A mí me gustó mucho la plática con la alcaldesa Jane Castor de Tampa Bay. La verdad que nos dio muchos consejos bien concretos sobre temas que son clave para San Pedro y que serán parte de nuestros proyectos estratégicos para los siguientes 3 años, como temas de movilidad y seguridad. De veras, muchísimas gracias. Aquí nos vemos.